Look, I've been there before. Cheap tequila with a lime, salt shaker, and a massive headache the next day. But I'm here to tell you, it's time to level up and realize that you can enjoy tequila without a hangover the next day. And it all depends on the bottle you drink. And you don't have to spend much more money to get high quality tequila. In this video, I'm gonna share my favorite additive-free tequilas that taste amazing and won't give you a massive headache the next day. Today, we're diving into the ultimate dad's guide to buying tequila. We'll crack open a bottle of different types of tequila from Blanco to Añejo, expose that additive-free traps you need to avoid at the liquor store, and break down my absolute favorite bottles to sip. Let's get into it. Before we pour a glass, let's talk about where this stuff actually comes from. Tequila is deeply tied to Mexican heritage. It all starts with one specific plant, the blue Weber agave. So just like real champagne has to come from France, true tequila can only be legally produced in specific regions of Mexico, most notably the state of Jalisco. If it's made anywhere else, it's just called an agave spirit. The heart of the agave, the piña, takes anywhere from 5 to 10 years to mature before it's harvested, cooked, crushed, and distilled. It takes patience. When you walk into the liquor aisle, the labels can be a bit confusing. So let me break down some basic information about tequila. Blanco, which is silver or white, this tequila is tequila in its purest form. It's unaged and it's typically bottled right after distillation, or rested for less than 2 months in stainless steel. It's clear, punchy, and tastes exactly like the earth and agave it came from. Then we have Reposado, or rested. Right here, this is where things get interesting. Reposado is aged in oak barrels from anywhere from 2 months to 1 year. The wood softens the bite of the alcohol and brings in notes of vanilla and light oak while keeping that fresh agave flavor. Then we have Añejo, or aged. If you love bourbon or scotch, this is your sweet spot. Añejo is aged in oak barrels for 1 to 3 years. The barrels are typically smaller, meaning more liquid touches the wood. This transforms the spirit into a rich, complex, dark amber sipping drink. This is actually one of my favorite bottles. Anything past 3 years is extra Añejo. Okay, so there's a little secret that I think more people are starting to realize about tequila, and it's the main reason people get terrible hangovers from certain bottles. Under Mexican law, if a bottle doesn't say 100% agave, it's a mixto. That means they use only 51% agave sugar and the other 49% is a cheap sugar cane, corn syrup, or artificial dye. I try to avoid these types of tequilas at all costs, but it gets worse. Even some bottles labeled 100% agave use industrial shortcuts called additives. Brands are allowed to use up to 1% of the total volume, and additives like glycerin for thickness, sugar syrup for sweetness, and oak extracts and artificial vanilla flavoring without ever putting it on the label. They do this to make mass-produced chemically made tequila taste smooth and sweet to the untrained palate. So here are some tequilas to avoid. If you want authentic, clean tequila, you should avoid the big corporate names that rely heavily on additives or industrial diffuser production. Think brands like Casamigos, Clase Azul, Don Julio, and unfortunately Terramana. They might look flashy on a bar cart, but you're often paying a premium for engineered flavor and marketing. If you want the real deal, look for brands certified additive-free by independent industry watchdogs. If you want to bypass the marketing hype and drink what real enthusiasts enjoy, here are the 5 brands permanently stocked on my shelf. I naturally lean towards Reposado and Añejos because I love the complexity of the barrel aging that brings to the table. Let's break down how they taste. First, let's talk about the gold standard, Fortaleza. I have the Blanco, Reposado, and Añejo. This is legendary for a reason. They still crush their agave using a traditional stone wheel called a tahona. Their Reposado and Añejo are stunningly well balanced. You get that rich, sweet cooked agave up front, followed by a beautiful wave of butterscotch, vanilla, and just a hint of earthy olive brine. It's incredibly complex, and I gotta say, hands down, my favorite tequila. A close second, Art Nom was right here. I have the Reposado right here, the 1414. Art Nom 1146 Añejo is an absolute masterpiece. I don't have that bottle with me now, but it's aged in French oak, Cabernet barrels, and American white oak. It drinks like a fine bourbon, packed with dark chocolate, baking spices, roasted nuts, and deep oak sweetness. Then we have one of my other favorites, Cascanas. Cascanes sources natural spring water and uses wild fermentation. Their age expressions are rich and velvety. The flavor hits with bold black pepper and bright citrus. But as you sink into the Reposado and Añejo, it unfolds into a dark toffee, vanilla, and caramelized apple pie notes. It's robust and unapologetic. Then we have one of the newer tequilas that I tried, Añejo. Añejo is a beautiful, deeply passionate brand. While their Blanco is an absolute agave bomb, their unique barrel rusted expressions like their rum cask rusted Reposado brings an entirely new flavor layer. You get a crisp, clean minerality mixed with tropical fruit notes and a soft, warm finish that makes it dangerously easy to sip. I just discovered this brand and I gotta say, I really like it. Then we have G4. Distilled by the famous Camarena family at NOM 1579, G4 uses a combination of gathered rainwater and spring water. The Reposado is very light on the oak influence, letting the agave remain the absolute star of the show. It tastes like crisp summer rain on clean stone, rounded with cinnamon bark, salty cashews, and a buttery peppery finish. I have the Reposado, which you can really get the pepper flavors with that type of bottle. Okay, so for the Fortaleza, I do have the Blanco, Reposado, and Añejo. Maybe a little controversial, but I actually like the Reposado better, and I actually haven't drank it in a while, so we're gonna go ahead and have a little taste today. Just a little taste. Oh, yeah, exactly how I remember it. That butterscotch, that vanilla, that cooked agave, all of those flavors are so present in the beginning. It's, oh man, this is delicious. No wonder this is one of my favorite tequilas. Yeah, so this is probably my favorite tequila. Honestly, Cascouine, the G4, but the Añejo is actually, I prefer the Añejo on the G4. Cascanes, I like the Añejo also. And then I haven't had any other Cascouines besides this one, but I hear the Blanco is fantastic, so I definitely need to try that too. So just go out there. If you see one of these brands, try the Blanco, try the Reposado, Añejo, Extra Añejo. There's tons of bottles out there that are additive-free that you can enjoy. I even like talking to the folks over at Total Wine and ask them for the additive-free tequilas. Most of the time, they'll give you some pretty good suggestions. But if you see any of these there, definitely pick up one of these bottles, whether it's, like I said, the Añejo, Reposado, or the Blanco, because all of these are fantastic. I recently just started drinking this Añejo, and I gotta say, I didn't know, but this has some pretty crazy profile for flavors, and I really like it. Okay, so the one tequila that I forgot to mention that actually is probably my go-to is Tequila Ocho. You can actually find this at Costco for $40 for this Reposado, and it's so good. Not this bottle. This bottle is actually the barrel proof single estate, but the regular Reposado, they have that at Costco, and it's fantastic. I drink that all the time. That's probably, like I said, you don't have to spend a lot of money on good tequila, and this is probably one of the bottles I would suggest if you're lower on the end, like around $40. You can also get this in Blanco, and that's really good too. I know they have that at Costco also, so that would actually be one of my budget picks. If you want to stay under $40, you can get this as a Blanco. Fantastic. The other places that I would go to is Total Wine, or if you have a good liquor store that you know, that's probably where you're gonna find some really good stuff. Bevmo is not always that great on selection. You're gonna find more of the better stuff at Total Wine. So those would be the places that I look for if you're shopping for tequilas. And remember to keep in mind these brands and do your research, because not all of them are gonna say anything on the label, so you really gotta look to see which ones are really truly additive free. When you happen to pick up one of these bottles, please don't put it in a plastic shot glass with a lime wedge. Pour it neat and into a nice tasting glass. Give it a swirl, let it breathe for a few minutes, just like good wine, and take your time sipping it. You don't need a massive bar, just 1 or 2 exceptional bottles that respect the plant, the history, and don't give you a massive headache afterwards. Let me know in the comments below what your current favorite go-to tequila bottle is, and are you team Reposado or team Añejo? Hit that subscribe button for more tech, lifestyle, and dad level upgrades. Until the next time, I'll see you guys later. Peace.